Okay, we are here with Tommie, the owner of Fuel, and we're going to ask her some questions about her business. Okay, why did you decide to open your business?
Before Fuel was Fuel, we were a little shop called Nest that sat in the back right-hand corner of what Fuel is now. And my friend Julie Stamper had a store called Cottage Kitch, and she had this empty room in the back, and she was working all of her hours with 3 kids in tow. And so a friend of mine and I talked with Julie about taking that back space and making it our own little gift shop within a shop, and then we could work some of the hours so she didn't have to be there all the time. So we did that for 2 really successful years, and then Julie's family decided to move to the Quad Cities, and I had a week to decide if we should just close up our little shop or whether we would take the whole space. And I had 2 little kids at the time, and it was a leap of faith, but I did it. And I came from Minneapolis by way of Iowa City for a couple years, and we didn't have a coffee shop in town, and with the support of a lot of friends, I decided to give it a go.
Okay, how has your business changed since it first opened?
That's a great question. A lot hasn't changed. I think we like to do what we do on a small scale and do it well. For instance, the menu hasn't necessarily changed, like perhaps Starbucks or Caribou Coffee, with all of the seasonal things or coffee drinks that are sort of in vogue for a while and then go by the wayside. We just kind of done what we've done. And our sort of recipe, I think, for success, this was huge. This is why Fuel works. And this might be another question, but I'll throw it in here. If we were just a coffee shop, coffee drinks range in price from $2 to almost $5. We would have to sell a whole bunch of coffee and baked goods. But because we're also a gift shop and we sell furniture and art, sometimes, I might sell a table for $450. That's a lot of coffee, and if we were only a gift shop, we wouldn't have near the traffic coming through the door that the coffee business brings. So it's the fact that we're doing both of those things in one space that keeps the people coming in, and the bigger items make up for a lot of what we'd be missing if we were just selling coffee. That's why it works.
How long has your business been open, and how long do you hope it stays open?
We are in year 14, which I can hardly believe most days. And Pat, Mom, will be 80. She'd kill me for telling you this. She's going to be 80 next year. But she has not slowed down an ounce. And she doesn't want to slow down. And I think we don't have any plans to not do what we're doing. There's so many reasons to love Fuel when you are in our shoes. And so indefinitely is my answer.
How did you get the idea for your business?
That whole idea about doing both things in one place came from a store in New York City called ABC Carpet and Home. And if you're ever there, you should go because it's really amazing. And on one side of the street, they have this massive warehouse where they do sell oriental rugs and carpets from all over the world. And on the other side of the street is another massive warehouse. And on every level, there's a different type of decor. Like on one floor, it might all be from South America. On another floor, it might all be from Europe or Denmark or different styles. But on the main floor, they have a coffee shop and a cafe. And this was probably 20 years ago. It's still there and different now. But when I was there, I noticed that the table I was sitting at was for sale, the chair I was sitting in was for sale, all the things around me were for sale, and it it just clicked one day that if this was going to work, that's what we should try and do. So.
Like you said, you have antiques in your shop. What is your favorite antique you have or have ever had at Fuel?
Can we come back to that one?
Yes.
I have to think about that. That's really hard. That's really hard.
Okay. Let's see. 6. What was the building before you rented it? You started renting it?
It was many things before Julie had it. So before me was Julie with Cottage Kitsch, which was furniture and gifts, kind of that shabby chic type of look. The Engelbrecht's father, Jimmy Engelbrecht's father, I think he had the butcher shop there when Jimmy was young. It was a bridal store when I came to town. It was a hardware store. The Veronics had a hardware store there. And I don't know if that was after Jimmy's dad or before. I don't know how it all lines up. I think there was an insurance business there. It was many, many, many things with a lot of turnover in the few years before Fuel had it.
Where do you get the antiques that you sell in Fuel?
I get them all over the world. In the beginning, when we were just Nest and not running the coffee shop, I'd go to Mexico a lot. I'd go to farm auctions, and I'd go to the auction in West Branch, and I loved collecting. When we opened the coffee portion, it really limited my time to be able to be the one to do all that. But in South Carolina, there's a fellow that I buy from. I've been buying from him for 20 years. And he travels all over the world, and we have a great partnership. And he essentially shops for me in Holland, in Mexico, in China, in Japan, in Tibet, and he goes all over, and I'm really lucky, and I could not do what I do without him. So I'm super thankful for him. And I meet with him in his great big truck, and he essentially picks for me, and then I pick from him. And then I still go to auctions and I buy stuff in and around here too. But that's where the international inventory comes from.
How do you decide the price of items in Fuel?
It depends. It's interesting. For instance, we had a pair of chairs from Japan that were hand carved and really, really beautiful. And I think perhaps they were like $425 a piece, which is a lot for Mount Vernon. I was in Chicago at the museum gift shop, and they were $1,800 a piece. They were the same chairs. And that's kind of gives you an idea. I see things all the time that we have are similar to what we have in Minneapolis or Chicago or New York, and they're 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much as what I can sell them for here. So, again, cycling back to Ralph, who I buy from, he knows that it's Mount Vernon. He knows Mount Vernon. He's been here. He knows that there's a limit to what I can put on an item. What I wish people knew sometimes is what a great deal they're getting. Because, many items of which we sell are much, much, much more expensive elsewhere. And some things I can mark up more than other things. It all kind of boils down to what we can make work in a town this size.
What is your main goal for your business?
I think to keep doing what we're doing. One of the best, most fulfilling things about my job and Fuel is our community aspect. Just this week, in times of tragedy, people tend to flock to Fuel to sort of care for one another. In times of celebration, they tend to come to Fuel when they're home from college. Holidays are fantastic. We see people that we maybe only see on Christmas, or this weekend is Cornell Homecoming. So we see people that were here last year for Cornell Homecoming, but we haven't seen since. I don't even remember what the question is.
Your main goal.
My know. So, I mean, I love that piece of it, and if we can, if we can just keep doing what we're doing and keep our doors open and be able to be that place for people in this community, that would make me so happy.
What has been your biggest challenge with your business so far?
I think scheduling and employees. Cornell students learn on the block plan, so their schedules are changing every 3.5 weeks. I might have a crew of high school kids that all of a sudden, all of them have decided to try out for the play, and they all make the play, and then what am I going to do after school? That's the hardest thing. I think if we somehow could do our scheduling for a month at a time instead of every week. Your mom was a godsend to me. It's really hard to find that daytime person that isn't a student that wants to work, and so when I get someone like Tiffany, it just lifts a lot of the pressure.
Okay, and on the brighter side of things, what has been your biggest accomplishment of your business so far?
Well, I have to say that right now what I'm feeling is this grant that we just got. We have $22,500 to spend on our business now, and that is going to allow us to buy some much needed new equipment. Receiving that grant happened in a few stages, and it was really hard work. I'd never written a grant. I don't speak well in front of people. I had to do that. I had to make a case for why we, more than many, many other businesses in Iowa, deserve this grant. And it was a huge learning process for me, and I'm feeling pretty proud of the fact that we're going to have that money to keep doing what we're doing. So that, and I think just, again, being that place, continuing to be that place in this town where hopefully everyone feels like they can come and be comfortable and enjoy something that's delicious and be with their community.
Why did you decide to work with your mom? Because I know that Pat works.
Yeah. Fuel would not be fuel without Pat. My mom worked for the American Cancer Society for years, and then she was the director of hospice at Mercy Hospital for many years. Very successful, many awards given, but it was time for her to retire from that. Little did she know she was going to be hired a week later to be my cookie baker. But she's so much more than that. Pat can bring the hammer down when that needs to happen. She has an administrative background. I am the creative person. I'm the unorganized person. I'm the one that she keeps in line. We'd be a mess without Pat. And for someone her age and in this town, she loves to have a reason to get up and get out of the house in the morning and have purpose in her day, and people love her. It's great, and people tell us all the time, and we know it, how fortunate we are. A, that we like each other so much, and B, that we get to spend every day together. It's a pretty rare and awesome thing.
When is your busiest time of year for fuel?
Well, we sort of go in these waves because Mount Vernon is fortunate to have all these cool festivals. Festival weekends are big. Aside from that, in the fall, when the Cornell kids come back, there's a bump. And then it just sort of keeps escalating because we hit football season, we hit holiday time. People are already thinking about holidays. So Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving, all the way through Christmas. And then we dip in February and March. But then Chock-a-Walk is May. and then we go all summer with festivals. So again, it's rare in a town our size to be able to do what we do.
Do you like having Fuel Mount Vernon only, or would you like to expand your business?
Oh my goodness, people have come to me over the course of the years. Two different things. I've had people approach me asking if I would consider opening a fuel, mostly in Iowa City, probably half a dozen different people. We've had other people come in and be so bold as to say, I want to do this in my town. Will you sit down with me and tell me how you do this, kind of thing. For me, because I've been a single mom raising my kids alongside making fuel work every day, I don't have the capacity to even think about doing it someplace else. Do I want that to happen? Actually, I'm so comfortable right here and doing what I'm doing that I don't think about it a lot. Not to say that now that my kids are grown, that it couldn't happen, but it's not something that I wish would have happened.
What is your hiring process, or how do you decide who to hire?
Sometimes I just know. Sometimes you just know. Other times it's about, if I have a certain amount of high school kids, because of schedules, I simply can't hire another high schooler. I have to have a Cornell student or someone who's not in school. We do have applications. Just because someone doesn't know anything about coffee and know anything about baking, has never had a job before, doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to get hired. Someone can have all the experience in the world and maybe things still don't work out as well as you thought. I will say this, in 14 years and probably 100 employees, 80 some employees, I've only ever had to let one go. I hang in there with my kids. There's always a way to teach, always a way to try and make it work out. And there are kids that are savvy at certain aspects of this job and maybe not so much in others, but somehow it all evens out and we take care of each other and we make it work.
What is your favorite drink or food to get at Fuel? What's your order?
I order a 2-shot latte, short on the milk, not too hot. I'm not a sweet drink person. I love our coffee. I like the taste of the coffee. And to eat, I cycle through everything Pat makes. On any given day, it could be something else. But probably I've eaten more clementines, the oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, than I have anything.
Cycling back to that last question, hope you remembered.
You're gonna ask
what is your
me
favorite
thing.
antique that you've had or ever had? Or at least just like one.
Yeah. That cabinet is a favorite. It's a rare thing. I love things with stories that have history. I think probably my favorite thing is something called memoryware, and it's a jug that someone once upon a time put their grandma's watch, their charms, beads, their stamps, there's a whistle, there are Cracker Jack prizes. Anyway, they're all pressed into, it's like clay kind of, that dries harder. And it's a pretty special piece. And it's in my house, and I'll never sell it. I want one of my kids to have it someday. That's a tough question, though.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things that come through the shop.
What are your plans for the future of the business?
Well, with this grant, we have 2 years to spend this money, so we're looking at really big upgrades in the kitchen, and not necessarily something we'll see on the other side of the counter. But for us, it's going to make our job so much easier and more efficient, and we're going to be able to really produce our drinks and our baked goods a lot faster, and it's just going to make or happier customers and happier staff. And a lot of what happens besides the coffee on the floor with the inventory, I get out of that what I put into that. And in my life, and again as a mom, there are certain years that are harder than others, and coffee will always carry us. But I'm really looking forward after a few hard years to have more on the floor. And this space that we're in, a few years ago, I was cranking stuff out like crazy, and that's what I love to do, besides the shop and sell it. And so I've been in the studio a lot more, and I guess that's another really big piece of what I'm hoping to make happen there, is my stuff.
Okay, last question. If you weren't the owner of Fuel, what would you be doing instead?
Well, bottom line is, I don't make a ton of money at Fuel. I do Fuel because I've been able to do it alongside raising my kids. But, you have to be able to support yourself. So I don't see myself working any sort of 9-to-5 corporate job. Never have done that. I can't imagine doing it. I would do more of this, and if I had to supplement making what I make and selling it, I would ask Joe Jennison if I could wait tables at the sing-along. Or something like that. I'm a pretty simple gal. I'm very happy here. I love to travel, and being here allows me to do that. But I'm not going anywhere. I would stick around here for a while.
Good, because we like you.
I like being here.
Okay, well that was our last question. Thank you very much.
You're
Have a nice
welcome, you
interview.
guys.